David R. Guttery is the Chief Executive Officer of Keystone Financial Group in Trussville, Alabama. David Guttery and Seth Edgell are financial advisors who represent Emeritus Investment Company, LLC, and Emeritus Advisory Services. Please stay tuned through the end of the video for additional important disclosure information.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our monthly Financial Insight series. Today we're tackling a sensitive but crucial topic: how to help an aging parent or relative organize their finances before memory issues or an unexpected loss make things complicated. Joining me is Seth Edgell from Keystone Financial Group. Seth, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I know this conversation can feel uncomfortable, but taking the time to get organized early can spare families enormous stress later on. When you approach this while your loved one is still sharp, you avoid frantic searches for documents, missed bills, or disagreements among relatives because everyone understands the wishes of the person at the center of it all.
That point about reducing family stress really resonates. People often wait until a problem forces them to act. So why is getting ahead of the curve so important?
Two main reasons stand out. First, it keeps the emotional burden to a minimum. Imagine you're grieving a parent and suddenly discover you can't locate the life insurance policy or deed to the house. Sorting that out under pressure adds heartache. Second, proactive planning helps protect finances. When documents are filed, accounts are consolidated, and responsibilities are clear, money doesn't slip through the cracks. No insurance policies lapse, no dividend checks go uncashed, and no forgotten accounts sit idle.
Well, that makes sense. To bring this to life, could you walk us through a hypothetical scenario?
Certainly. Let's imagine Susan Harper. She's 62, healthy, and living independently. Her daughter, Emily, notices that Susan's finances are spread out: 3 bank accounts, 2 IRAs, a handful of old savings bonds, plus a life insurance policy she got in her 20s. Susan's perfectly capable now, but dementia runs in her family, so Emily wants to plan while Susan's able to guide her.
So Emily needs to gather information without making her mom feel like she's taking over. So how does she start?
A calm, respectful conversation works best. Emily might say, "Mom, you handle things so well, but if you were ever in the hospital or just wanted a backup, I'd like to know how to pay the bills and keep things running." Framing the conversation as support rather than control keeps everyone on the same team.
Once they agree to share information, what should Emily and Susan gather first?
Begin with a master list of every account and document: bank and investment accounts, recurring bills, insurance policies, and any safe deposit boxes. Note each institution's name, account number, contact person, and online login if Susan is comfortable sharing. They can store this master list in a locked binder inside a fireproof safe or an encrypted digital vault. Either way, the goal is one reliable source of truth.
And this includes legal documents, right?
Absolutely. They'll want durable powers of attorney for finances and healthcare. That way, if Susan becomes incapacitated, Emily can step in to pay bills and make medical decisions consistent with Susan's wishes. If Susan already has a will or living trust, Emily should know where the original copies are kept and the attorney's name. And beneficiary designations on retirement accounts need review because those forms override whatever is written in a will.
What if Susan's accounts are scattered to IRAs at different custodians, for example?
Consolidation can simplify oversight. Combining her IRAs at one custodian means one statement, one website, and fewer 1099s at tax time. We'd roll over in a way that preserves tax status and avoids penalties, then ensure the new account's investments match Susan's risk tolerance. While we're at it, we'd cash in any savings bonds that have already stopped accruing interest and move those proceeds to where they'll earn more.
Well, after compiling documents and consolidating, what does an action plan look like?
I break it into 3 phases. In the first few weeks, compile documents, name trusted contacts, and draft powers of attorney. Over the next quarter, consolidate duplicate accounts, automate recurring bills so utilities, insurance premiums, and taxes can't be missed, and align all beneficiary forms. Over the next year, revisit long-term care insurance and tweak investments as Susan edges closer to retirement or her risk profile changes.
Well, you mentioned long-term care insurance. How does organizing ahead of time help if Susan's health deteriorates quickly?
If we have the powers of attorney in place and a single point where all the key documents reside, Emily can immediately take over. Bills continue to get paid. Investments stay managed instead of frozen. Doctors follow Susan's healthcare directive, so Emily isn't forced to guess what her mom would want. And because their finances are organized, they're less likely to be targeted by scammers who prey on confusion.
Are there tax or estate strategies Emily and Susan should be thinking about while everyone is healthy?
Definitely. For instance, if Susan's income dips in a given year, converting part of her traditional IRA to a Roth could make sense. If she wants to help Emily with a home down payment, gifting stock with low basis now might save capital gains tax overall, especially if Emily is in a lower tax bracket. And once Susan turns 70 and a half, she could satisfy required minimum distributions through qualified charitable distributions, donating directly from her IRA to charity tax-free. Each move needs to align with her cash flow needs and charitable goals, but the earlier you explore these strategies, the better your options.
Well, how can technology keep everything organized?
Tools like e-money let families store documents, passwords, and contacts in a secure cloud environment. They allow you to share specific folders with specific people. Emily sees financial data, Susan's attorney sees estate documents, and so on. You can set automatic reminders for bill due dates or insurance renewals. Tech isn't a magic bullet, but it keeps organization manageable and reduces the risk that something slips through the cracks.
What about the emotional hurdle? Some seniors worry that sharing finances means losing control.
Reassure them that transparency is a safety net, not a surrender. They still approve every decision while they're able. Scheduling quarterly reviews where the parent walks the child through statements can help them maintain ownership and dignity. It's about building a trusted partnership, not handing over the keys to the kingdom.
Well, where do professionals fit in here?
A financial planner can map the full balance sheet and evaluate the investment mix. An elder law attorney can update deeds and trusts for Medicaid or tax planning. A CPA makes sure tax strategies are executed correctly. The point isn't to build an army of advisors, but to assemble a small, coordinated team that can step in seamlessly if something happens.
Seth, so once everything is in place, how often should they revisit the plan?
At least once a year. Life changes, new grandkids, policy renewals, market shifts, and tax laws all affect the plan. An annual checkup keeps beneficiaries current, investments aligned, and everyone on the same page.
Well, could you boil down the biggest benefits for families who tackle this early?
Peace of mind tops the list. Everyone knows where everything is. Then go to efficiency. Bills get paid and assets remain invested, even if the senior can't handle them personally. We also avoid probate delays and reduce legal costs because beneficiaries, titles, and documents are already updated. Next is family harmony. Clear instructions mean fewer sibling disagreements. Lastly, fraud prevention. A well-organized financial picture is harder for scammers to exploit.
So if someone watches this and thinks, well, this sounds important, but overwhelming, what's the very first step?
Schedule that coffee date or Sunday afternoon chat. Bring a simple checklist: bank accounts, investments, insurance policies, legal documents, and monthly bills. Start by listing what you know and marking the gaps. Once you have that map, filling in the blanks becomes a series of smaller, manageable tasks. Remember, progress matters more than perfection.
Any final thoughts for families who feel nervous about starting?
Don't wait for a crisis. Each small step, listing an account, completing a power of attorney, automating a bill, builds resilience. Approach the conversation with empathy and curiosity. Ask how your loved one wants to be cared for, and let that guide the plan. Your future self and your loved one will both be grateful you started early.
All right. Well, Seth, thank you for these practical insights. And thank you to our viewers for joining us. If you have any questions or need further resources on organizing a relative's finances, feel free to reach out. We'll see you next time. For additional information, Seth may be reached through the means listed upon the following screen. For the Trustful Tribune, I'm Brannon Dawkins.
David Guttery and Seth Edgell independently offer securities and investment advisory services through Emeritus Investment Company, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, and Emeritus Advisory Services. Information provided in today's segments is gathered from sources believed to be reliable. However, its accuracy cannot be guaranteed and should not be interpreted as tax or legal advice. Any performance stated is past performance and is not indicative of future results.